Okay. Well, here we are.
Here we are.
We started a conversation and then we realized we should be recording. So now I hit record. So yeah, I guess this is going to be a random conversation. This is Helena. She's my sister and she's pretty awesome. And we just riff and raff about everything and anything. So what we were talking about is how I decided to let go of Instagram and go on to YouTube and focus my energy on there. And then now what's happening is I'm kind of getting a little bit more traction on Instagram in terms of things moving. I launched like a pilot program, and then like people have been like a little bit more interested in what I have to say. So that's been interesting. But then the other thing, so what I did want to bring up before I interrupted and started recording is so I markets environment, and your markets environment too.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that like with markets environment is not so much having an all eggs in one basket.
No.
Right?
No, that's what I'm noticing too for myself. I don't think that I don't think that we fit in one market.
No, I think we're meant to be in multiple areas. Now you're external, I'm internal. So I'm, as an internal, I'm meant to be things like online, work from home.
Yeah.
And so that is like probably being on different platforms, having a website, like having things like people can go on my website and buy stuff, like being on different platforms. So now it's like before I was just website and Instagram, which isn't so much in alignment with my markets environment. So now branching out to YouTube, potentially Spotify, maybe look into Twitch, see what's happening there. Pinterest is not something for me anyways.
No, I never really understood, to be honest, I never really understood how people use Pinterest for business.
Well, I think they use it if you're like a food blogger or fashion, I think like, or, you know, interior design, like those kind of things. But I think like, as a coach, mentor, not like I mean, maybe some people have utilized it and it's worked for them, like putting quotes.
Yeah. Maybe like having like inspirational quotes and stuff, but I don't know. I can't, because the way that I use Pinterest is like I'm just saving stuff. I'm not really looking on Pinterest to like buy things.
Yeah, but I think that it's mostly like, yeah, like it's interior designers, food bloggers, because it gets the traction to the website.
Right. Because people are looking for recipes or like how to do things. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah. And then Facebook, like, I mean, I use Facebook for some of the groups. I'm in groups, but I don't actually use Facebook as like my personal page where I don't post on my, what is it, feed wall? What is it now?
Yeah, I don't know what it is anymore. I feel like a dinosaur when I go on Facebook.
I know. I'm like, I deleted it years ago, I think over 6.5 years ago. And then I just joined a few years ago when I moved to Whistler because everything is on Facebook, like housing, finding jobs, you know, buy and sell. And I was like, well, I guess I need to go back on Facebook. So I created a different account because I wanted to have a separate account.
Yeah.
And so that account is practically empty. I think I have 20 friends, which is like a combination of friends from Tofino and some from Whistler that people are like, let's be friends with you. And I'm like, cool, I'm not active, but sure.
Exactly.
And yeah, and obviously I use Messenger, but I don't use the wall, the feed, whatever it's called now, because I don't even know how it works. But I am in groups, like, so sometimes if somebody like shares something, you know, especially like the Alpha Femme group, right, with Melanie and Lara, if they share something that I feel like I can respond to or give a little bit of guidance to, like I'll put in my 2 cents.
Yeah, exactly. Like I appreciate groups like that because it's like, well, apart from it being like a great networking group, it also there's so many different conversations happening in groups like that. So when you see a post that you're like, oh, I'd like to be part of this conversation, or I want to put my 2 cents in, it's like you can, and you have the access to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And there was like one girl, like I just like responded to one this morning. There was one girl and like she shared like something along the lines of like how she's like in year one of her spiritual journey and how things are not clear. And I'm like, yeah, been there, you know, and it's kind of like, so I responded saying, you know, it'll make sense eventually. It makes
Yeah.
it makes sense where you are at now. It is kind of like, oh, like here's a few things you could do, like just get in your body, trust your intuition, follow the universe's breadcrumbs, and the pieces come together. But yeah, so that was something I was able to relate to. So that's what I respond to, stuff I can relate to that I've been through. So then that way I can give the guidance. If I see something that I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally offer guidance as a projector, like we see it all. But if it's not, if I'm just doing it from a place that is like hoping that they'll reach out to me as like a client, or you know, a place of wanting to just guide for the sake of guiding,
Mm.
then I usually don't respond, because you know the ego gets in the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just like like, yes, you can offer guidance on almost anything, right? Because we all have resources, we have like friends that have been in situations or whatever. And as a projector, you see everything and you see right through the BS. But I mean, if you're not going to relate to them on a personal level, like, hey, I've been there, I've done that, here's how I navigated, here's the advice that I would give you so that you don't have to navigate it the way that I did.
Yeah.
And you could just learn from my mistakes instead of repeating them, type of thing, is a lot more effective than just like, yeah, I can totally guide you.
Yeah,
I have no experience.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's just, yeah, I always like pay attention to why I'm responding, or like why does my, like why do I feel like I want to respond? Is it my intuition or is it my ego? And I feel like that it also works hand in hand with posting.
Yeah.
Posting on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever platform you're posting, like posting a blog, like from what energetic place are you doing it? Are you doing it because you truly want to guide people, truly want to help people, truly want to share your story, your truth, whatever? Or is it because you're like, I need to sell, like, or I need to make money, or I need to tell people what to do? It's like,
Yeah.
what, because people feel that even if they're not consciously aware of it.
Yeah, it's because it's the energy behind whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah.
If you like, you can always tell like when someone has ulterior motives when they're asking you something, or when they're they're coming to you for help or whatever. It's the same concept. It's just like in reverse. When you're putting yourself out there, it's like what, not only what words are you choosing, but also what's your energy
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're presenting yourself to the world.
Yeah. And I feel it too. Like, and sometimes I cannot pinpoint it. Like, I'll be going through someone's stories, for example, and they'll be like, they'll ask a question. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want to answer. It's like, and there's no like, you know, it's not saying that they're a bad person or that they
No.
did something wrong, but it's just like an energetic feeling of like, I don't want to respond to that. It doesn't feel in alignment. And the other person could be that, you know, maybe they were in a state of lack and like feel like they need, you know, like some sort of control. And so they went on Instagram to ask this question because, you know, they're in a certain state. Or it could be that, who knows, like it's anything and everything, right? And it's just
Yeah.
being aware of your energetic point. And even when you do launch something or when you do share something, and if you don't get the views or the likes or the comments, sometimes it's good to check in with yourself and be like, okay, like, you know, how was I feeling when I posted that? What was going through my mind? Why did I post it? Like the reasoning, the why. And there'll be times where you were in complete energetic alignment and it like you posted it for the right reason and it's still the views, the likes, the comments didn't fall through, like fall the way you wanted to. And that's okay. You know, those things are a little bit out of our control sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can only control your energy, your actions, and how you react to the world around you. You can't control other people. You can't control how many likes and comments you get. You can't control the algorithm. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's also being okay with not having control of things outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a big thing. And I think we've both learned that with our social media experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And it's just, yeah, it is really much letting go of control. And just like, yeah, I think as a markets environment, trying different things.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
like the
sometimes
other
it's
day,
lost.
exactly. Like I think it was yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. There was a post on Instagram about like the different profiles and what they find annoying. And for
Like like the human design profiles.
yeah, and it was like line 6 was like network. And I know that's like a little different than markets environment, but like as a line 6, if someone tells me like go networking, go to networking events, and I'm just like, no, I want to go to a farmer's market and like be friends with the farmer. I don't want to go to a networking event where I feel like I have to act a certain way.
Right.
Right? Like I know that's like my own thing, right? Because I can be more laid back and I can be myself at a farmer's market. But at a networking event, it's like I'm going there for my business. I'm going there for a specific reason that is not for like fun
Right.
in my
But that's because that's how you're associating networking. One,
yes.
you are associated in that way. It doesn't need to be that way. But if you take away the definition of it, like, and what it means to you as, you know, like a line 4 will be more comfortable in a networking environment versus
Right.
a line 6.
And I have both.
Yeah. So clearly, you need to rewire.
And that's where the deconditioning comes in.
Exactly. There we go. So see, we just had a live deconditioning thing happening right now. So you're creating a story around networking and you're making it sound and feel icky for you and feel, I guess, like more serious. And you're putting on this like idea that it's like business attire, proper, like serious kind of image, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not all like that. There are some that are like that, but they're not all like that. Like I've been to some that are more fun and laid back, and like, you know, you have like the photo booths and, you know, all those things. And like there's people that are doing more creative stuff like candle making, jewelry making, those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah, they were in Vancouver that I went to. I think they were called like I went to them pre-pandemic. So like I think they may have some events still now, but I don't think it's like to the same level it was.
Right.
But they're called Business Babes. And it was just like, it was just more young and fun versus like the corporate networking event you're thinking of.
Yeah.
So like imagine now, like, so let me ask you this, like if there was a networking event, like if you were going to an event and in there you had Akashic Records readers, you had spiritual healers such as you, like Reiki practitioners, you had, you know, like mediums, would you go to that?
Yeah.
Okay. But you're not going to go to a business one because one, you're not, you're business is not like business related in a sense of like, you know,
like corporate America type of thing.
exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you would go to a networking event
I would. Yes.
in the aligned one.
Yes, in an aligned one. Yes. Yeah. It's just the story that I have around networking and it being like related specifically to like corporate events, that like when it's like spiritual events, like the spiritual fair that we went to, or was it like last month,
Yeah.
in Nanaimo, that technically is a networking event, right? In a way.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel that way.
Yes, because it wasn't the formal style of like corporate.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It was
those
just
exist, but you don't need to go to those. I mean, I've gone to those and then they look at me like, well, I mean, the ones I've gone to per my experience, I'm not going to say it blank statement with like everybody, but the ones that I've gone to, I get a lot of like question marks of people are like, so what do you do? It's
yeah,
not,
if you're getting question marks as a life coach, then I'll be like, I'm an energy healer.
yeah. And so then it just means that that's not our environment, right? So it's
Yeah.
because we both have markets environment. I'm internal, you're external. And external is more in-person stuff, whereas internal is kind of like people coming into my own space. Like I'm inviting people to my own space. So an internal one would be like, even if I host a workshop in person, I can. It's just I invite the people in.
Yes.
Versus like kind of like going out and networking. Not that those don't work. It's just, it's not, I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's just like not as flowy with a market.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's because you're the, because you kind of like, this isn't like the right wording, but I can't find another word for it. But like you're kind of basically like vetting people before they come into your space. So you already know the energy coming in order to network with them.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to invite like some super business corporate person into your space because that's not in alignment with what you're doing or achieving, unless they're coming like, you know, after work hours as a person and not to represent their business type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like it's just like it's, yeah, depending on who they are and what their intention is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're basically like you're reading their energy and their intention before you invite them in.
Yeah. Because the other thing I thought of, so remember how we were together in the wellness market last summer?
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yes.
one worked well for me versus you
Yes.
because we had a booth and people were coming to us.
Yeah.
So as internal, you're coming to me. Whereas for you, I find you were better when we went to the spiritual fair last month because that's more external. Because you were going to them. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because like when we did the wellness market last summer, I feel like our first one was really good. Like I was a bit rocky because of my confidence in the beginning, but once I got comfortable, then it's like everybody wanted to come to us.
Oh, yeah.
But
Like the highlight.
we were the highlight.
Yeah.
Obviously, like people wanted you specifically. And I'm just there like, come do an energy reading, energy healing with me while you wait for your tarot session.
Which you know what, that helped me out because I had no idea what was happening. All I knew was like I was either pulling cards or doing like 5-minute human design readings, and I literally had my head down, focused. So the fact that you were like trying to like organize it a little bit, like do energy healing while they wait, or at least like form some form of line.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we had Robbie next to us who was giving free coaching sessions while they waited anyways. So it ended up working out for everybody that while people were waiting for me,
Yeah.
but I had
Well,
no idea
that's
what was
how,
happening because I was
well,
so
that's
like,
how it
oh,
kind
next.
of, yeah, that's how it kind of helped with like balance with my external markets, right? Because because sitting behind the table, you're comfortable and people are coming to you, but they're not really coming to me. But then by you being busy, I would leave the table, right? Because I don't want to, one, I don't want my energy to impact the reading. And two, out of respect for the person, I don't want to eavesdrop on whatever you're telling them because it could be personal and stuff. So I would walk away and make myself external, and that's when I would interact with people,
Yeah.
right? And that's where I was getting my energy healing done. I should have taken an extra chair so that people don't fall over, because one girl almost did fall over and I felt so bad. I was literally like holding her. I'm like, please don't fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
like it ended up working out because your internal markets was activated, which forced me to be external.
Yeah. And then also, if you just look at the projector, Manny Jen, projector, me being behind the table, people coming to me, that's them giving the invite. But as a Manny Jen, like you don't need an invitation, you just need something to respond to. So them being already there waiting in line and you having more of a enveloping aura, right? Like whereas mine's more piercing. So
Yeah.
I need the invitation. So you approaching them, even as a Manny Jen, like having that manifester part, it's like they're like, oh, okay, like interesting, you know. So I think between like that combination of just even our types, not even just talking about like the environment aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, our types work really well together when it's like situations like that where we're basically just like amplifying each other's energy
Yeah.
in a positive way.
Yeah. Whereas I find when we both go to like a farmer's market or we both go to like the spiritual fair, like that's a little trickier because for me it is it's not my environment as internal, right? Because I'm like I'm saying hi, and
Yeah.
so it's like again there's no invitation.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to create the invitation, but you're still the one initiating.
Yeah. And it doesn't like, yeah, it doesn't land as well. Whereas for you, like people like are just like, oh, hey, you know, like more. I found like in the spiritual fair, people were more communicative and focused on you. Like even like when we'll be both of us, like they'll just be talking to you.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like as if I'm not there, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm like trying not to go in my not self of bitterness of like not feeling seen. Like talk about not feeling seen. Like that's like right there.
Yeah.
Except there was that one woman who did take the time, like she spoke to you, and then after like completely shifted her energy and focused completely on me, which I appreciated. And that's
Yeah.
when you know that, like, not saying that the other people that were at the fair are not good healers or they're not. I'm sure they are, but it's like to me, like when someone takes that time, like especially because they're selling their services, like we were not going there to sell our services. We were going there to just like meet and see what other services are available, like in Nanaimo in person.
Yeah.
So when
Exactly.
someone like takes that extra time to focus on me, or you, if they were focusing on me initially, vice versa, whichever way it goes, then that to me speaks volumes that, you know, they really like know how to like, you know, talk with people, but they really care. Like they're not just
Yeah.
there like trying to make that sale or trying to sell that reading or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're more focused on creating the relationship with the person versus whatever they're selling or whatever they're trying to do at the market,
Yeah.
right?
Because like that woman that took her like focused on you and then completely focused on you right after and gave me the same amount of attention and detail as you, like I took her card and I'm like, I want to work with her.
Yeah, exactly. Because she gave you the time of day.
Yeah.
She actually paid attention. She didn't just say like, oh, you guys are a unit together. Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what I feel like, even though people are talking to me and kind of ignoring you, it still bothers me because I'm aware of your presence, right? You're with me. And it's like, it's not even like when they're talking to just me, sometimes the conversation is really nice and I connect with the person and that's great. But sometimes I feel like they're talking to me as if they're talking to a group, right?
Yes.
They're talking to both of us, but they're directing it directly at me. And it's like,
Yeah.
and they're not seeing me. They're just seeing like a, a blank person. And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah, they're
well,
not getting personable up with it. They're just like, oh, hey, this is somebody who's interested at my table. Like, let me go with my 5-minute elevator speech.
yeah, which is fine.
Which is fine. But then when you think about it, you want people to be a little bit more personable. Like, and so I think that's why, like, it's because you're the Manny Jen and your aura is different from mine aura. When they do that blank slate, like 5-minute elevator pitch, they focus on you because of your aura, whereas mine's piercing and they're just like, like, please don't get in my energy.
Yeah,
But they can see through the other, right? Like I like become, like I don't become, no, that's a reflector. Reflector becomes, but like a projector sees through the other. So we get into someone's aura and people are like, unless we're invited. And then they're just
yeah,
like, oh yeah, guide me, guide me, guide me. Tell
literally.
me everything you know and tell me what to do, because I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's basically it. It's like, okay, tell me, guide me. What do I do?
Especially Manny Gens, like Manny Gens, you guys, like you're the ones, like it's really funny. I attract so many Manny Gens in my life. It's insane. Like
Yeah.
I don't have that many projector friends, and I have a few generator friends as friends, but generators I find is not as much as like, ooh, guide me. Like maybe in this period of my life right now, at least. Like it could change later on, but right now it seems like it's the Manny Gens, and I don't know, maybe just because I'm so grounded.
Yeah, because I feel like and I'm speaking for myself, and what I've noticed is that like, because many gens like having our hands in multiple different pots, sometimes we get overwhelmed with all of our pots. So
Yeah.
we just need someone else, so like an external person to be like, hey, so like maybe get rid of a pot, or maybe manage these pots better, or maybe do this with that pot. Because we want to do all the things all the time. We're kind of like, golden retriever puppies, right? That's like the best way that I can explain it. It's like, oh, this, oh, that, oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do that. And it's like we get so excited to do the things. And then it's like we want to do all the things. And then we sign up to all the things and we're like, oh, wait a second. I don't have enough hours in the day to do all the things. What do I do? Because I want to do all these, like all of these things are a hell yes, like full body yes. So how, like I can't say no to any of them because they feel like a yes.
Yeah.
So what do I do? It's
Yeah.
like like I remember I was talking to Matt the other week, and it was like the day after I had freaked out about like working so much and like saying yes to like everybody with work and everything, and that I was like, I if I didn't let go of a shift, I would have been working like 15 days straight, which is like insane.
Yeah.
The following day after my freak out, I was like, maybe I'll sign up to ballroom dancing, and I also want to do pottery, and da, 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 da. And he's like, with what time? With what time? And I'm like, right.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys want to do all the things, but like it doesn't mean you need to do all the things now. And that's what I think like some managers, I don't want to speak on all of them, but some managers, like I feel that you want to do everything now. Like it all has to be done now, like instantly. Like, well, you are the types who skip a bunch of steps, right? And you are efficient, which is good, but then at the same time, detrimental. Like it's like there's both, right? Because there's always a duality with everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because the reality is that you can't do all the things all the time right away.
Exactly. So this is where, like, even with my clients, I like reel them in and I'm like, okay, wait, come back. Which one do you want to focus? What, like, which ones do you have time to focus? What, like, kind of come back a little bit, like there's only so many hours in the day, and not everything needs to be done now. Because what if it's done now, then what's next, right? Like, obviously there's going to always be more, but it's still like, give yourself time to enjoy life too,
Yeah, exactly. It's like enjoy life, and like you don't have to be busy all the time.
Yeah, and many gens, you guys need your downtime. Yeah. No,
I know that.
you need the downtime too. You need to like rest. Like, especially if you have more manifestor, like if you're like more on that, like more manifestor than generator, even though like many gens are generators, there's aspects to the chart that sometimes will make it more manifestor, which is like interesting.
Yeah, like me.
Definitely need the downtime. You need to like honor that for yourself. It's not like a generator where you guys are like, well, generators, you're all energizer bunnies. That's what I call them.
They really are energizer bunnies. They just keep going and going and going.
I know. And it's really funny because I have a friend of mine and I don't know her chart. I do not know her chart. But this is like just based on observations of knowing human design for so long. And she injured her foot, and she's been like, she was off work for a bit, but now she's back at work, but you can tell she's so bored. And she's so bored to a point that she joined her husband at his work, and he does construction. She has an injured foot, and she
like
went with him to work. I don't know what she did. Like, I didn't ask, but it was just like, this is such a generator thing to do. Like,
I'm bored, so I'm gonna go to your work.
Yeah, to work. And I was just like, I found it so funny. I'm just observing. Obviously, she doesn't know human design or any of those things. So I didn't. And as a projector, I'm not gonna just like talk about it, but I'm just observing, and I'm like, oh my God, you're such a generator. Like, just to like, you're going to your husband's work where you can't even do anything because it's construction, but you're so bored, and that you need to do something, right? As generators, you need to like burn your energy because you have so much energy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have so much energy that like, and like I notice it for me, like with the generator part in my Manny Gen, is that like if I don't burn all my energy for the day, and I don't have as much as a generator, like, or just a generator does, I'm super antsy in bed. It takes me so long to fall asleep if I'm not like exhausted.
Yeah.
It's so interesting and so weird. And it's like, it's almost like, it's kind of like the way that I see it is like when mommy talks about taking the dog out for a walk. And, you know, like, especially when she was younger, now she's older, so she doesn't have as much energy. But when she was like a young little puppy and she's like, oh, you know, like I have to take her out for like her 3-hour walk because she has to be exhausted and and it's like, you know, to make sure that the dog burns enough energy so the dog can sleep at night.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's also helping her burn her energy so she can sleep at night
She's a generator.
because she's a generator.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Where,
she's just like projecting it onto the dog.
yeah, basically. Whereas like Daddy, for example, who's a Manny Gen, he goes and then he crashes and then he'll sleep the whole day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Manny Gens. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We go and then we crash and then we go and then we crash.
Crash. Because you guys are like, do all the things, everything, all the time. And then you're like, ugh.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, I did too much. Okay. Shut down, sleep, nap.
Do all the things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, like the dynamics of it, and then kind of just observing other people. Like, oh, for me, I just love doing that. I love like observing people and then trying to figure out like if they're generators, Manny Gens. Yeah. And then the other interesting thing that I did recently discover, and unfortunately, it's only on the paid version of Genetic Matrix, which I have yet to get, is that there is your human design when you sleep is another chart. So you have a different chart when you're sleeping.
How does that work?
I guess I don't fully know. Like it's something new. I'm assuming it's because you're in a different state. Like, yeah, because
well,
I'm a Manny Gen when I sleep. And that's why I can sleep next to generators and Manny Gens. But not all. But like, yeah. Because I've slept next to like, and I find I sleep fine. And it's so like so many times people like are like projectors need to sleep in their own bed, like they can't sleep with anybody, blah blah blah. And I was just like, well, my partner's a generator and I love sleeping next to him, like the energy feels good. And then I had a session with a human design mentor, Christelle, and she was like, let's look at your sleep chart. And she's like, oh, that's why you're a Manny Gen when you sleep.
Wow.
So I don't know how it fully works. Like I said, I just discovered this, but I just found it interesting. Like, because maybe, yeah, we're in a different state because when I'm sleeping, I think it was my sacral was defined with my spleen and my head, something like that. Or was it ajna? I don't know. And it's like the spleen is connected to the head, I think. And she was like, oh, that's how you get like ideas and like kind of like you figure shit out, like, right, the spleen being spontaneous, just like you come up with ideas when you're sleeping, which is true, that, like when I nap, not so much when I'm sleeping overnight because we go through so many waves of like different sleep patterns, but when I'm napping I find I get a lot of aha moments or realizations or creative thought, and that's where that comes from, the spleen connected, I think, to the head, and it's like the intuitive burst.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm curious to know what my chart would be.
Yeah, unfortunately this is the paid version. Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Well, we will eventually you'll get it and you'll tell me and it'll be great.
Like, yeah, like this is who you are. But yeah, it's interesting. And then this is like kind of again like, going back to like human design is an experiment, and whatever people say about certain types or certain profiles or certain centers or this and that and how you should be, like there's so many layers to human design that it doesn't mean, oh, there's a fly. I'm going to call this fly Bob. Bob has been living here for now 5 years. Has not, is still alive. Don't know what it's eating, but Bob the fly. Anyways, yeah, like there's just so many layers that sometimes like what like the overall, like what a mani-gen is, or what a generator is, or what a projector, reflector, like some of it may not resonate, or some of it may not be for you, because once you dive into deeper layers, you'll understand, you'll be like, oh shit, this is why. Like for the sleeping, for example, like, you know, for them, everybody say projectors need their own like sleep at night, doesn't mean like I can sleep next to a generator, but do I need my own space? Yes, I need to be in my own energy to recuperate. Of course, I have my own time, which is great because, you know, like Ty works like Monday to Friday. Basically, he's gone the whole day, and me working from home, it's perfect. This is how I have my own space, and he's emotional, so I can unplug from his emotional wave.
Yeah.
But I can sleep next to him at night, no problem.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it is an experiment, and we're meant to
Yeah.
sit here and try things out and see what works, what doesn't work. Like I know some mani-gens who just want to have one job.
Yeah.
But then they have their hobbies as multi-passionate.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You can have like it's or like I find like certain mani-gens have more energy than me. I find like as a mani-gen, I don't have as much energy because I have the manifester part of me is like the subconscious part, right? Or is it the conscious part?
I don't know. I have to look at your chart.
Okay. Well, either way, it's like I'm more manifester than mani-gen.
Yeah. Well,
So I don't have as much energy as a regular mani-gen does. So I get tired a lot easier. And
yeah.
I want my naps. Like I thrive on napping.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, because like some other mani-gens are more generator, right? So generator again being that energizing bunny.
Yeah, exactly.
Swear to God. That's what a freaking generator is an energizer bunny.
Yeah, that's what they are. And it's great. And like I find like so like you say that like I know that you attract a lot of mani-gens in your life.
Yes.
I feel like I've attracted a lot of manifestors.
Interesting. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is
Right?
true.
Because my roommate's a manifester and my boyfriend's a manifester.
Yeah.
And it's like you cannot tell them what to do at all. Like it does not land, even if it's just like, helpful advice
Yeah. No, they don't like being told what to do.
at all. And I mean, like, look, nobody likes being told what to do.
No, but
Right?
manifest just like amplify it. Yeah. Yeah. The
It's
key
actually really funny because like there was
ask questions and have them kind of come to that conclusion themselves.
yeah. No, but it was really funny because the other day, like the three of us were sitting in the living room having a conversation and um Matt was giving Grace advice, but was coming off as like telling her what to do, but he didn't mean it that way, but it landed that way and all Grace was not happy.
Oh yeah. No.
She got so triggered. I mean, like it was fine, right? But it and like, everything is fine and we smoothed it over, but it was as like the mani-gen just observing the situation, I was just like
Yeah.
like
And
one manifestor telling the other manifestor what to do is just like
yeah, but this is the crazy thing, like of like understanding human design, right? Would kind of put that into perspective and make a manifestor more aware of it, of like, oh wait, I don't like being told what to do, and they're manifestors, so clearly they don't like being told, so maybe I shouldn't tell them what to do, because a manifestor initiates, right?
exactly.
Trailblazers, so like they want to tell people what to do. That's what they do. Like they're in your energy to like motivate, like their aura motivates you to get shit done.
Yes.
With two manifestors who are unaware of each other, I think.
Yeah.
Can be,
Just
not all.
a little bit, but they do get along, which I like, right? It's just like, it was just like that one conversation, and I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of like, it's funny because it's the same thing as like generators and mani-gens, like telling each other like open-ended questions instead of yes or no. What do you want to eat tonight? I don't know. What do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want?
it's just like a never-ending cycle and circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
amount
Like,
of
I remember once
frustration.
being like just at the brewery, and it's like Ty's friend asked him, like, where do you want to go dirt biking on Sunday? I'm like, well, I don't know. Where do you want to go dirt biking? And like, well, I don't know. Where do you want to go dirt biking? I'm just like, they're like, this open-ended questions are not helping anybody.
No, exactly. Like it doesn't help. And like, at least for me, especially with people that aren't aware of human design, or like, with Matt, who's not aware, like I've talked to him about it a little bit, but he's more of like the super logical. So I just tell him, I'm like, just give me options.
Yeah.
Give me options to choose from and I'll choose. But if you just ask me like, what do I want to do today? Or what do I want to eat? My answer will always be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because I genuinely do not know. Like
Yeah.
you ask me and my mind is blank. And also being an open, undefined head, like I don't, like it goes blank. I don't filter anything. It's just like the other day he asked me, he's like, what are you thinking about? And I'm like, nothing. I'm not thinking of anything. He's like, what do you mean you're not thinking of anything? And I'm like, I'm not thinking of anything. Like it's blank up here. And he's like, I'm always thinking. I'm like, most people always think. I've trained my brain not to think. That's called meditating. I've mastered it. I can do it while I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. But the thing is, I do find like the sacral response, like even the emotional authority is a little bit more, like, not saying easier, but clear cut.
Yes.
Like self-projected. Like when somebody's like, what do you want to do? And it's just like, and I think of all these ideas, but it's like I have to like vocalize it and kind of listen to my voice at the same time and be like, oh, and try to figure it out, which is like hard, listening to my own voice and listening to my own tone sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you kind of just need to, like, for you, I find whenever you do self-project, it's like I kind of just let you talk and like list your different options. And then once you're done self-projecting, is like, that's if you obviously, if you need me to step in and analyze it, then I'm like, well, you sounded a little more excited about this, or you didn't really sound that like enthusiastic about this option or whatever. So it's like you can have like the other person there like interpreting your tone if you need, or you could just voice note and then listen back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I've like, I'll sometimes do that too. It is just a little bit more challenging, especially in the moment, like, when you have to make decisions like in the moment right away, and you're like, like pressure's on. What is, like, what is my tone saying? Like, what does my G center say? Which direction do I want to go in?
Yeah.
And then also being able to find like the middle ground too, right? Like, yes,
Yeah.
I was invited to go to the brewery, but I didn't want to drink. But so like, I knew that for sure. That was like a decision. I was like, no, I don't want to drink. But the next decision was like, do I want to socialize or not? And being a 2-4, that is like the biggest like conundrum, so to speak, ever. Because sometimes I don't know. They both come in and it's just like, I want to be by myself, but I want people, but I want to be by myself, but I want people. I don't know. What do I do? What do I do? And then I sit here and I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
What do I do? And so that is usually like most of my decisions, especially when I get invitations to go hang out. That is always the biggest thing is, do I want to be around people or not?
Yeah.
And then so yesterday was interesting because it was like, it was a middle thing. It was like, I want to, but I don't.
Yeah.
And I went, and it's just like really funny. I found myself like less interacting with the humans, more interacting with Ty.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that happens where it's like I'll interact with the people closest to me and I'll be in a socialized environment, but I won't necessarily socialize with the whole world.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
other times, if I'm more in my four, I don't mind chatting with everybody. But I think yesterday, like I did want to kind of be a little hermit, but the four came in too. So I was like, I went and it was good. I don't regret that I didn't go, but it was like I felt like I embodied the hermit in the environment.
Yeah, exactly. Because like sometimes you just want to be in a social environment, but you don't want to socialize.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like you want to be around people, but you don't want to talk to anyone. It's kind of like I when I get in those moods, it's like I just want to like go to like a coffee shop and just people watch.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like I don't want to interact with anyone. I kind of just want to be that wallflower for like the hour or two and
Yeah.
just like watch the world.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's interesting.
it is. But that's also why I've maybe I when I was like in school and in university, I had a harder time focusing on studying whenever I was in a coffee shop
Mm.
because there's so much going on around me that I want to interact with it and respond to it,
Yes. Classic. General.
right?
Yeah.
So like so whenever I had to study is like I had to, you know, get a study room in the library and just like put myself in an isolated space so that I don't have any distractions.
Right. Whereas where I find for me, I went to coffee shops because that's where I'm plugging into everybody's sacral.
Yeah, because you're plugging in and you're basically using their energy to keep going.
Yeah. With the coffee.
With the coffee, yes.
I was not in alignment in my 20s, that's for sure.
No,
The amount of
no, you were
burnouts and colds and all this stuff. I like the amount of times I got sick every time I would overdo it. And I knew it. I just kept overdoing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because at that time that's just what you did,
Yeah.
right? It's like what you had to do,
Yeah.
right? It's like you have to go to school, you have to study for your midterms, you have to work, you have to socialize, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like that one summer where you had like I don't know how many jobs
You know,
just so that you can save to go to Australia, or was it Europe?
yeah.
Europe.
Yeah. Because I calmed down when I got back from Europe. But also when I got back from Europe, I started working at Reggie's, which gave me more money. So then I went into the work smarter than harder mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But before that, yeah, no, I was saving up for Europe. Yeah. I think at one point I had 6 jobs.
Which is like
And
insane.
school.
And school.
And socializing. I know.
Yeah. And then you burnt out, start crying, have a mental breakdown.
Yeah. I had developed a twitchy eye. This eye wouldn't stop twitching. Oh my God, it was the most annoying thing. I remember sometimes just being like this. Like, okay, please stop twitching.
Please stop twitching. Literally your body saying, stop. Like, and you're just like, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going.
That was a different time.
Definitely a different time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like when you're in your early 20s, it's like, especially in university, it's such a like, you're in this like very weird trial and error misaligned energy, at least for me in my
Well, you're also a line 6, right? So you're before 30, you're in the trial and error, where I didn't really have that, but it's still prior to a Saturn return.
yes, where I'm in my Saturn
Saturn-
return now.
Yeah, exactly. And a Saturn return has a huge effect on human design, especially the variables aspect.
Yes, I remember you talking to me about that.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, your Saturn return does have like a general effect on your human design, but in a good way, in a good way.
In a good way. Yeah, it's totally not challenging.
No, right? Not at all.
Not at all. It's so much fun. But you know what? Like, I find that like learning about human design and also personal development and being more self-aware, I can navigate the trial and errors better.
Yeah.
Right? Like if
Yeah.
I was dealing with what I'm dealing with now in my early 20s, I'd be freaking out every 30 seconds and
Yeah.
just having mental breakdown after mental breakdown and thinking the whole world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, okay, I'm freaking out, but I know that this is temporary. I know that this will pass. I know I'll figure it out. I know I can move forward and I have things to do, and you know, the world's not coming to an end type
Yeah.
of thing.
I do think, yeah. I mean, like, I think there's different aspects of human design that if some people knew about those aspects, like if all the line 3s knew that they were line 3s, if all the line 6 knew they were line 6, I think like because of how those lines work with that, like things bumping into you, right? Like at that trial and error, and you're meant to learn from that. It's almost like when the line 3 or line 6 finds out about that, it's a sense of calmness. It's you're like, okay, this is what it's meant to happen. So then every time you do hit a trial and error, you're like, okay, wait, what am I meant to learn? Like the mindset shifts to what am I meant to learn about this versus the victim mentality of like, why is this happening to me?
Yes.
So there are certain aspects that I think is important to find out, like, and even like finding out just as simple as like, you know, being a projector, like, oh, unsolicited advice is like the worst, like tenfold, like unsolicited advice from other types. Yes, it's like the energy is like but it's not as like if people are like, oh yeah, you know, that's cool, I appreciate it, but I'm good. Whereas a projector, they're just like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And so like knowing that, but like I did have to go through a lot of trial and error with that because I've been shut down big time. And so I had to learn that. You know, so I find there's certain elements, certain aspects of human design where it is good to know. Like for me, especially like the emotional and the non-emotional. Like if everybody found out who was emotional and non-emotional, I think the world would just be a better place.
Yeah.
Because you have the non-emotional who don't like conflict, but who are also empaths.
Yes.
And then you have the emotionals who need to ride their wave, but they're also like, they're not afraid of conflict. So they're ready to be like, yeah, like, let's deal with the situation right now. And the non-emotionals like, no, I don't want to, like, so it's just a matter, like, just that simple, like, understanding the emotionals and the non-emotionals, and that knowing, like, the non-emotional to have patience for the emotional to ride their wave and be like, oh yeah, just sleep on it and see how you feel the next day. Like that in itself, it's like, cool. Especially like for me, like living and dating an emotional, like I'll bring something up, I'll bring up an idea, and at first it's like, you know, like no excitement, and it's really hard because I'm like, he's a generator, and I'm like, okay, like does he not, but he didn't say no, like because I know when he says no, he says no. He's an Aries, so I know when a no is a no, but it's like he's kind of like, yeah, okay, but he's not excited, and I'm like, And then a couple of days later, sometimes a couple of weeks, like there's no, I realized that there's actually no time frame on this wave. And then he'll come around and be like, oh yeah, like I'm so excited, da, 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 like this and I'm like, okay, you rode your wave. But if like I didn't know that, that would trigger me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is he like, does he not want to do this with me? Is he not interested in me? It's, like that's when you create all these stories.
Yeah, exactly. You create the story because you're like, oh, well, like he's not initially excited. So why not?
Yeah.
Like, does he not like my ideas? Does he not actually want to do it with me? Et cetera, et cetera. When that's not the case at all. It's just like he needs to process whatever idea, activity you want to do through his emotions.
Exactly. Yeah. Cause I even sometimes notice that too, like with some things that his friends invite him to, like not like not dirt biking related. He loves dirt biking, but not dirt biking related. He doesn't say yes or no in the moment. He's very much like he stays quiet and he's like, okay, cool. Like I think one of his friends invited him to like, go to a concert in September. And he said, okay, cool, but he didn't say yes or no.
Mm. Yeah, because he needs to ride the wave. He needs to figure out if he actually wants to go or not.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's these like little things with human design that I find is super interesting. And we can definitely talk about this into the wee hours. And I feel, and what's funny, just like kind of like wrapping this up, like I think like a few other people who are going to be guests to this like also want to talk about human design. So, and then there's others that like it's going to be a different other topics as well, but I just find it so interesting that that's where the conversations are leading right now, which is very interesting.
Yeah. I think it's also because like you have so much knowledge of human design that like it's very easy to talk to you about it because we're creating the invitation for you to talk about it.
That's true. That is true.
Right? Because it's like at least for me, whenever we're talking about human design, I'm just like, tell me more. Tell me more. Like I want to know like how am like what part of my chart is activated? Why does this happen and all of that? So it's like it's very interesting and like because you're constantly learning more about it, I'm learning about it secondhand because you're telling me about it, right? And also self-projected too, right? You're filtering out the information
Yeah.
to me, and I'm learning just by being your soundboard.
Yeah. True. Yeah, it's so interesting. Anyways, I am curious to see where the rest of these like guest interviews will lead. But now we're gonna wrap it up. So I'm gonna give you the floor for you to talk about your services, talk about who you are, like what you do in your business. Just because I do also like love what you do, and I think that you offer some pretty amazing things to the world. And yeah, and also where people can find you as well. So
Okay, well, I am an intuitive energy healer and card reader as well. So I combine 3 different energy healing modalities. I combine holy fire Reiki, integrated energy therapy, and therapeutic touch in my sessions. So I use all 3, blend it all together, and really personalize the energy healing session to you, which I think is beautiful. And especially with integrated energy therapy, it's like my favorite energy healing modality. And being a master instructor, I do want to teach it at some point. So I'm hoping before the end of the year that I'll be able to teach. But yeah, so I do that, and I also do card readings. I use a combination of tarot and oracle cards to guide you and help you. And that I also do Akashic record readings, but those I are big sessions. You need to be ready for an Akashic record reading because they're not light at all. We deep dive, a lot of things get brought up, and sometimes you won't like the answer, is what I've noticed.
Ego. Yeah.
The ego will not like the answer. So yeah, and I'm constantly learning, you know, as a Manny Gen, I want to have my hand in multiple different pots. So I'm always learning, always trying new things. So yeah, you can find me on social media on Instagram at loveyoursouljourney. You can also find me on my website, loveyoursouljourney.com. And if you're in BC or on Vancouver Island, you can find me in Nanaimo. I'm here. I do house calls. I also do a guest spot at Aura Arcana in the Old City Quarter on Mondays. So you can find me there. Come say hi. And I'll just be around. I'm around. I'm wherever you want me to be.
Sweet. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I think we dove into different topics, but all within human design, which was kind of cool. We honestly did not have a plan. I did not have a plan for this, so we just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
But that's also because I knew, like, I mean, Helena's my sister, so I knew I can just kind of wing it and that will be good. With everybody else, I have some prompts.
Yes.
Just kind of just little like prompts of conversations to kind of go with, you know, just in case. You never know, sometimes a conversation can just flow so naturally. But yeah, just because you're my sister and this is how our conversations just normally go.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
We could always record our conversations and upload them to YouTube.
It's true. Okay. Yes, thank you. I'm gonna stop this recording. We'll continue chatting after. So
Okay, sounds good.
okay, thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.